Marcus thought he was untouchable, CEO of a billion-dollar tech empire, corner office on the 47th floor. But when his new head of operations walked through those glass doors, his blood turned ice cold. Because 20 years ago he'd abandoned the woman carrying his child, left her with nothing but empty promises and a broken heart. And now, she was his boss. What goes around, comes around. But sometimes karma takes its sweet time. Boston, 2004. Sarah Chen was everything Marcus Williams thought he wanted. Pre-med at Harvard, beautiful, brilliant, and hopelessly in love with him. They'd met at a coffee shop near campus. She was studying for her MCAT. He was coding his first startup app, dreaming of Silicon Valley gold. "One day I'm going to change the world," he told her, fingers dancing across his laptop keyboard. She believed him. God, she believed in everything about him. 6 months later, Sarah was pregnant. Marcus? He was 23 and scared. His app had just gotten interest from a venture capital firm in California. This was his shot, his one shot. "I can't do this," he told her, pacing their tiny shared apartment. "Not now. Not when everything's finally happening for me." Sarah sat on their second-hand couch, ultrasound photo trembling in her hands. "What are you saying?" But deep down, she already knew. Because when someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. 3 days later, Marcus was gone. No forwarding address, no goodbye. Just a note on the kitchen counter. "I'm sorry. I hope you understand." She didn't. While Marcus chased his Silicon Valley dreams, Sarah's world crumbled. Medical school? Impossible with a baby on the way and no support system. Her parents had disowned her when she refused to handle the situation. Her friends slowly drifted away, tired of her struggles. She dropped out, took 3 jobs just to make rent. Cashier at CVS during the day, waitress at night, weekend data entry at a medical billing company. Her daughter Emma was born on a rainy Tuesday in November. Sarah held her in that sterile hospital room alone and made a promise. "It's just you and me, baby girl. But I swear we're going to make it." And they did. Barely. Sarah worked 16-hour days while Emma stayed with a neighbor who charged half Sarah's paycheck for babysitting. Ramen noodles for dinner, thrift store clothes, hand-me-down toys. But Sarah was smart, brilliant even. During Emma's naps, she taught herself coding. Online tutorials at 2 a.m., free programming courses at the library. What doesn't kill you doesn't make you stronger. It makes you hungrier. Meanwhile, Marcus was thriving. His app sold for $12 million by 2007. He moved to San Francisco, started another company, then another. Each success bigger than the last. By 2015, he was featured on the cover of Forbes. The boy wonder who revolutionized social media. He'd gotten everything he wanted. Corner office, luxury penthouse, a different supermodel on his arm every month. He never once thought about Sarah, or the daughter he'd never met. But karma. Karma never forgets a debt. Sarah Chen wasn't the broken college girl Marcus had abandoned anymore. 20 years of grinding had forged her into something else entirely. She'd built 3 successful tech companies from nothing. Sold 2 for 8 figures each. The third? She'd kept it and turned it into a consulting empire. Sarah Chen Consulting, the most elite operations firm in Silicon Valley. When Fortune 500 companies needed someone to turn around their failing divisions, they called Sarah. She was ruthless, brilliant, and very, very expensive. Marcus's company, Nexus Technologies, was hemorrhaging money. Their revolutionary AI platform was 3 years behind schedule. Stock price plummeting. Board members demanding answers. "We need help," his CFO told him during an emergency meeting, "and there's only one firm good enough to save us." The contract was signed before Marcus even knew Sarah's name. Sometimes the hunter becomes the hunted, and they never see it coming. The morning of Sarah's first day, Marcus was in his office reviewing quarterly projections. His assistant buzzed the intercom. "Mr. Williams, your new head of operations is here." Marcus didn't look up from his laptop. "Send them in." The door opened. Heels clicked across marble flooring. "Hello, Marcus." That voice. He knew that voice. Marcus looked up and his world stopped spinning. Sarah stood in his doorway wearing a $1,000 suit and a smile that could cut glass. 20 years older, 20 years stronger, 20 years more dangerous. "Surprised to see me. What would you have done if it were you?" Marcus tried to speak, tried to breathe, tried to make sense of the impossible woman standing in his office. "Sarah, I ... It's Dr. Chen now," she corrected, setting her briefcase on his conference table. "I finished medical school, by the way, then got my MBA, then my PhD in operations management. Funny what you can accomplish when you have proper motivation." She pulled out a thick folder. Marcus's entire company reduced to charts and graphs and brutal honesty. "Your board hired me to save Nexus Technologies," Sarah continued, her voice steady as steel. "Which means for the next 6 months you work for me. Karma doesn't rush, but it never forgets." The next 6 months were the longest of Marcus's life. Sarah dissected his company with surgical precision, every inefficiency exposed, every bad decision documented, every overpaid executive shown the door, including Marcus. "Your leadership has cost this company $400 million, Sarah announced during the final board meeting. She clicked to the next slide where Marcus's failures were displayed in devastating detail. "I recommend immediate termination. With cause." The vote was unanimous. As security escorted Marcus from the building, Sarah was waiting by the elevator. For a moment, they stood in silence. "Why?" Marcus finally asked. "Why did you really take this job?" Sarah's expression softened just slightly. 20 years ago, you taught me something important. You taught me that the only person I could rely on was myself." She handed him an envelope. Inside was a photo. A young woman in a graduation cap and gown standing next to Sarah. Same eyes as Marcus, same stubborn chin. "Her name is Emma," Sarah said quietly. "She just graduated from Harvard Medical School. Full scholarship. She's going to be a pediatric surgeon." Marcus stared at the photo, his throat tight. Does she know about me?" "She knows her father was a coward who ran away when things got difficult." Sarah's voice was matter-of-fact, not cruel, just honest. "But she also knows her mother fought for 20 years to give her every opportunity you tried to deny her." The elevator arrived. Sarah stepped inside. "Goodbye, Marcus. I hope you find what you're looking for." But here's the twist nobody saw coming. The doors closed and Marcus was alone. 6 months later, Sarah received a letter. It was from Marcus, postmarked from a small town in Oregon. Inside was a check for $2 million and a single sentence. "For Emma's student loans. It's 20 years too late, but it's a start." Sarah never cashed the check. She framed it instead and hung it in her office next to Emma's medical degree. Because sometimes the greatest revenge isn't destroying someone, it's showing them exactly what they lost. Emma never met her father, but she grew up knowing that real strength comes from the people who stay, not the ones who run. And Sarah? She kept building her empire one success at a time, not for revenge anymore, but for something better. For the little girl who deserved everything the world told her she couldn't have. Karma doesn't rush, but it never forgets. And sometimes the greatest justice is simply living well. If you believe in karma too, subscribe and we'll see you in the next story.